Not important.
Amazing.
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 Okay, today we're doing a review on this look on my face. I'm then going to be doing the Do Your Friend makeup tag, and I'm going to be doing TK's face hair, and then he's going to do mine. I've got my new Morphe brushes. No one was introducing it, I'm sorry.
Right, so the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Someone introduce it!
What?
Someone introduce it! Like, this is... What is wrong with you?
I don't give a fuck.
It's good idea. That's how it was. All right, let's start this. All right, guys, welcome to another book review. We're gonna do a book review of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by, what's his name? Mark Manson.
I forgot, you know.
Mark, it's not Mark. Okay, start again.
No, it's Mark.
Yeah, you
It's
can't.
Mark Manson.
We're professionals.
We're not professionals.
No.
It's too late.
Yeah.
All right.
Mark Manson.
Mark Manson.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Have you done any other books?
Wait, is that the only book he's done?
I don't know, you know.
No,
Let's see.
He says, like, towards the end of it, he's like, he's a writer or something. I don't know, he did like lifestyle blogging or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, start.
Right, yeah, so we may look at some of his other books as well.
No, you need
but
to start.
today we're doing The Subtle Art of Not Giving a
Yeah,
Fuck.
we ain't starting
We're
again.
gonna like, we're just gonna, you know, talk about some of the main points we picked up from it and just go from there, innit?
And also a review of it in general.
Mark Manson.
Yeah, basically, and also a review of it. Mark Manson.
You know, next time I'm gonna take like the quotes out of the books as well. And just go through like the quotes I found in it and references to other books.
Yeah, because he references a lot of other books. Let's just get into it, yeah. So what did you guys think about the book?
Yeah, out of 5.
Out of 5, I'd give it a solid 4.5.
Jeez.
2.5, 3.
Actually, if I can, I'll give it a 4. A solid 4. 2.5.
Yeah, was you reading the same book? 2.5, you don't give a fuck, can I?
You really don't give a fuck. Why 2.5?
We'll let Billy
Oh,
rate his first and then we'll get
what's
into
your
it.
rating?
Yeah, I give it about a 4, maybe 3.5. 4 when I first read it, but after I read it a few times.
Yeah, I think, well, I didn't actually read it. I listened to it. It was an audiobook.
Yeah, same.
You know, yeah. So I give it a 4 because it's a pretty good. It's not a self-help book. That's what I like about it. Like, it's not like every other self-help book that's out there. Like, he has a different approach to the way he is presenting this information. It's not like, oh, you think positively and all this stuff will come to you type thing.
Yeah, it's just a good quote, isn't it? About like the paradigm, it's a paradox, like for wanting more positive. Yeah,
it's called the backwards law, and Alan Watts is the one who said it. So wanting a positive experience is actually a negative experience.
Oh, yeah.
And wanting a negative experience is actually a positive experience.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like Buddhist stoicism type.
I would say it's stoicism or Buddhism.
It is, but it's like you obviously can't control the positive experiences that you have. Like, there's some things that you can control.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah.
Control. So like wanting a positive experience, you can affect it, but you can't really control it.
What I kind of got from that, what he was saying though, was like if you're someone that has very positive experiences, you want to have a negative experience so you can see things from like other viewpoints and you get a different perspective. Maybe, I don't know, that's what I got he was saying.
The quote I liked from it, was the desire for more positive experiences is in itself a negative experience, and paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is in itself a positive experience. I like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so...
And he also speaks about affirmations, isn't it? How, like, and he talks about statistics, about how, like, I'm not going into that. And like he said, a true a true happy person isn't one who has to say in the mirror, I'm happy,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
You said a woman that needs to look in the mirror and say, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, is never happy.
Yeah. Because if you were happy, you wouldn't be saying that to yourself. You'd
Yeah.
you'd be happy.
Mm. Yeah, can I talk about my general thoughts before we get into deep stuff?
You may.
The reason it doesn't get above a 3 for me is because even though it tries to be like a self-help book that isn't a self-help book, I feel that it is very much the structure of a self-help book. It's quite platitude-y.
What's that mean?
Platitudes.
Yeah.
When you say something that's like a bit cliche, and so like rather than thinking for yourself, you might say like someone who like quotes Shakespeare a lot, you could say that's sort of a platitude because
To be or not to be. Like
yeah,
that.
that's like a bad example, but it's like someone who doesn't actually think of something, someone who wants to kind of like have like new ideas and stuff, but just quotes like basic philosophy.
Do you think in the end he sort of like takes the piss out of himself by doing that? Because he said like when he's first writing to do the blog about like Uncle Ben and it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also think that I think so. Yeah, he is a bit self-aware, but also throughout the book, he does tend to like drop one quote from Aristotle, talks about Picasso. Do you know what I mean? It's very like he doesn't really get into something, and he just sort of borrows from like a lot of very like superficial layers. I feel.
I don't think he was doing a lot of borrowing. But
Well, I'm just telling you like generally
yeah.
why. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I felt like it could have been summarised, it could have been condensed quite a bit more, because some of the time he's talking about his past experience and it like trolls on and on and on, and you know he's talking about when he graduated from university in like the mid-noughties and presumably in America. It doesn't say if he's American or not, but I'm pretty sure he is.
The mid-noughties, when? The 60s?
Mid-noughties.
Noughties.
Noughties.
What?
The noughties.
90s.
Is it the 90s?
Naughties.
Why are you calling it the
Just
noughties?
what was that?
It's 2000 and...
That's so cliche.
I
still don't get it.
That's what it's called.
Is it?
What?
I've
Yeah.
never heard it.
The noughties.
Yeah.
Okay, YouTube and Birmingham's a weird place.
That's a
like,
white thing.
Bruh.
It's a white thing.
Bruh.
Right.
The noughties. Sorry.
The
go on,
noughties.
go on.
It's not, what would you call it then? What would you refer
The
to that
90s.
as? Okay, we'll just cut that out because you two just keep...
I ain't cutting shit out.
No, just go on. Just go with your thought process.
No,
It's
because
fine.
just let me give you like a brief summary and not.
Alright.
Okay. Fuck. Yeah, so he graduated. He talks about. Okay, I'm coming back to my original point because
Alright.
you're just so annoying. The original point was that he could condense stuff more, and also the structure could be. It could be not as all over the place as it is. So, for example, he trolls on about stuff, and at one point he's talking about like fables from what's it called when you have a proverb but not a story. He's talking about like like fables from like hundreds and thousands of years ago, and then he's talking about his own experience, and then he drops a bit in about philosophy, and then he sort of peppers it with a bit of like art history, and I'm not really clear whether and science as well, because he starts talking about like a lot of famous psychologists, and I'm not sure if he's coming at this from a scientific experimental point of view, a personal anecdotal view, history, almost like biblical like tales. It's a bit like, okay, that's great, but this isn't any original thought. This is stuff that you've just picked up on.
Is anything really an original thought though?
Okay, but it's just a book review. Like, we're not getting into that.
Okay.
I'm Rowan. I control Mindscreed now.
Just go on.
Um,
Go on. Continue.
And yeah, he talks a lot about. Okay, and the other thing is that he talks about people's personal stories and people that have been in contact with him and message him.
Yeah.
And how they are like in control of their own fate, and to an extent I agree with that. So like the whole point of the book is how not to give a fuck, and how to kind of take whatever negative experience you've had, whatever struggle, and just say, do you know what, I'm going to choose how I deal with this, and I can choose to not let this bother me. But then he uses the example of the guy that messaged him saying that he lost his son, And he's like, yeah, but this guy could choose not to be upset about it, and he doesn't word it like that.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like, you don't really like. I think there are some things that self-help should kind of stay out of, and I think that that's one of them. And he talks about OCD sufferers and abuse victims.
Alright.
And it's like, I don't know, something I feel.
How many times did you listen to it?
Once.
Once.
Yeah.
Oh, you must messed up. I listened to it like 3 times, and I don't remember the part about the abuse victims. I remember the part about the father losing his son.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, have you got more general points?
Yeah, but they can wait. He also he interprets the findings of the Milgram Experiment wrong, which is pretty hard to do because it's so famous. And he basically states that the effects of dopamine are reliable. At one point he says being in love is like doing cocaine, and this is what we're talking about, yeah. So he's saying like, yeah, because cocaine acts on your dopamine receptors, and so does being in love, and it's like, yeah, but so does petting your dog. It doesn't mean that it has the same reliable, consistent effect. Yeah, I know. But I mean, you know, other drugs act on your dopamine receptors, like anti-Parkinson's medication.
Did you want him to like list all the drugs that affect the dopamine?
I just wanted him to say, like, he was basically saying, he was making a point that love makes you crazy, and his evidence for that was, yeah, because cocaine also affects your dopamine receptors, and it's like, that's a bit tenuous.
Thoughts? I'm just gonna say, yeah, I actually like it when like people, like writers, write like that. So kind of like pulling from different sources. Maybe this isn't from English literature or science or physics or whatever.
Yeah.
And just like sort of putting like this soup of something that's going to a point, then they relate to it, they add the personal anecdotes, they do that. I think I like that. That's the one thing I liked about the book.
But what do you feel about?
Because I wasn't like expecting it to be like a structural thing where it goes on and like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3 type thing.
No, me either. But what I mean is, usually people have, so like say if I'm a psychiatrist, I'm gonna have like a psychosocial medical model or biopsychosocial model to look at things. If I'm a historian, I'm gonna look at history. I wasn't really sure, like it started off like really clear, and I actually started to think I'm gonna like this way more than I anticipated, because I really don't like books like this.
Like what?
Like self-help books. I'd much prefer like, and this is gonna sound like so up my own arse and like I'm a snob,
Go on.
but I prefer listening to like podcasts that really get like deep into philosophy, because I kind of feel like there's nothing you can learn in a self-help book these days that hasn't already been talked about by philosophers, and I just really think that they say it in a much more succinct and way that like relates to my existence and that I can like kind of get on board with, than someone just talking about philosophers but in a very like, not even niche way, but in a very like sort of surface level way.
Yeah, I don't think he was really gonna go that deep into.
No, but he got some stuff wrong as well. Like with the Milgram Experiment, he was talking. Is it like?
What's the Milgram Experiment?
Okay, I'll let you explain because I've talked too much. Well, I can explain if you can't remember.
Hint me again. It's the one with the line. No, it's so basically the shocks, right? So, it's based on. So the idea came from like during World War II, the Nuremberg trials. So the Nazis were being trialed, and most of them were saying that they did it because they were ordered to do it, like just following orders. So they thought, okay, so what's the effect of authority on obedience and conformity and
being
stuff
complicit?
like that? Yeah. So this man Milgram was like, okay, let me do this experiment. I have one of my friends go in there with a random person, a participant. What?
And importantly, so a participant goes into one room with an observer, a scientist, who's wearing a white lab coat.
That's why I was like, yo, this is my friend, But yeah. So there's 2 rooms. There's one on the other side. So there's 2 participants. That's the experiment, right?
No,
One
no,
of them
what?
is actually, yeah, because he's on the other side
Yeah,
of
the
you.
one's an
want to
actor.
say it.
It's
That's
an
what I'm
actor.
saying, yeah.
He's not a participant.
Woman fish.
Woman
It's-
explaining, isn't it? She's woman explaining right now. Are you a woman explaining right now?
I said that to my mum because my mum was
Womansplaining.
explaining something, and I was like, "Mum, why are you explaining?" She was like, "Mansplaining, ha, mansplaining, mansplaining." She thought she was really funny. Anyway,
That was funny.
Shut up.
such a joker.
It's
No.
hilarious.
But you should. He has.
You
And
better
he doesn't
cut
know the
that
difference between an actor and a participant.
out. You better edit that out.
I'm wrong, I'm not editing shit.
Oh, this is gonna drag on way too long, so you just want to.
Okay, basically, there are two rooms. In one of the rooms, the participant sits and they can't. So there's like a mirror, and there's actually they can't see them. So
there's
participant in one room, actor in another room, and the participant is told by someone in a white lab coat, like, you're gonna have to ask this person questions. Every time they get a question wrong, you're gonna have to initiate a shock, and the shocks go up in voltage each time they get one wrong. So at first it's like 20V, 40, like twofold, whatever.
False.
So the maximum was like 350 something.
It doesn't really matter.
Which
but
would
It
kill a
actually
person.
does. Yeah.
voltage doesn't kill people, current
But in
state.
this experiment,
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
well,
current, not voltage.
Yeah,
it'll give you like
the
heart
current
problems. Yeah. Let's say that. It'll give you heart problems. What was that?
No, you don't understand. Okay, anyway. So, I'm such wrong with me. I'm sorry.
Continue
Anyway,
explaining, yeah.
just please cut that out.
no, I ain't cutting out shit.
Okay, and then in the there's a person in the other room, and each time they get it wrong, the person in the white lab coat goes, well, you know, you've got to administer a shock now. So they do it, and they can hear they can't see, but they can hear the person reacting to it in pain, and it goes up and up and up until they're screaming like, please stop, please stop. And they don't, they just keep they keep going.
Yeah.
And it's basically, the results were interpreted as, if an authority figure is there telling you to do something, you like comply with it. So like that brings back to what you were saying
So-
about like Nazi Germany and Nazi soldiers being complicit.
So it's a conformation test. Is that the right word?
It's
I
more of
would
like
say
an
it's more about-
obedience test.
yeah,
Yeah,
obedience.
so obedience to authority.
And if you conform to it.
And if
It's
you
not. I don't
obey,
think
it's more like obeying.
conforming though, because
It's-
conforming is when you do something to kind of fit in.
Fit in. I think this is
They're
more
doing this
of
under obedience. Yeah.
it's more of like a relieving of responsibility.
Mm.
Because the guy even also says that
Yeah,
don't
he
worry,
does.
whatever happens is my responsibility.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
go on.
And
Right.
out of the men and women, the women were the one who went up to higher voltages than men.
I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
Well, you haven't read it.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
said you didn't know what.
No, I was just saying it for the viewers who didn't know it.
Okay.
Right. Okay. I don't think their gender differences are really that big of a deal though. The
No, it
point
was
is,
just part of the study that
Okay.
women were the ones who went to higher voltages than the men did.
Oh,
It's just
I
interesting.
didn't know that. I know there's been other variations where like the experiment is in a university and the experiment is in like just some low broken down building. Whether it's the clothes of the experimenter as well.
Yeah.
That also affects it. So
yeah.
like the white coat makes it more professional and all of that.
Yeah, I was watching this video on Instagram, and the guy, he like recorded the whole thing. He called a man over on the motorway, he said, yeah, stop the car. He must have been wearing some sort of suit or something. And then he was playing a prank on him, pretending he was a Fed or something. And he was like, we think that you have a weapon on you. And then he went to the guy, he said, take off his shirt. And the guy's there, it's like a gorm, like, he takes off his shirt, he said, put your pants down. And he pulls down his pants, this guy is, I don't know why he's like,
Doing it.
Yeah, and then he says like pull your actual pants down, and the guy is actually like, it's like
Oh,
pull his pants
shit.
down, and then the guy just like laughs at him and then goes off into the car and drives off.
That's the power of a uniform. Okay, so yeah.
Anyway, we're getting.
So
No,
what?
no, 'cause
so you need
the-
to explain how he got the interpretations wrong.
I'm trying.
Okay, I was just moving it forward.
Yeah.
I like this
and
podcast.
It's not even a podcast. It's a book review.
It's gonna.
No,
Yeah, but it's a podcast
book
on book
review.
review.
Okay, go on.
It doesn't like. Okay. You guys go so...
Hurry up.
Okay,
Let's go.
so Milgram, and he does say like, so he talks about one psychologist who's not Milgram. I think it's Musgraves, and how you would expect. He did some research and expected that people who are evil, who do evil things, have low self-esteem, and what he actually found is that they had high self-esteem because they did evil things because they thought that what they were doing was right. So like terrorists think that they're doing it in the name of like their religion and for like a greater cause, and murderers murder people because they think they have a right to, like that sort of thing. And he said that the Milgram experiment reflects those the results of the guy's experiment. And there's something that he gets wrong. He said, yeah, and
I think
and
I think I agree with him, because in a way you can say that it is like, okay, you almost feel like you're one of the, like, you know, you said the terrorists feel like they're doing it for a great cause, so you can be like, okay, I'm doing it for science, because the guy's in it.
No,
I'm doing it for this authority figure.
But that wasn't what people reported feeling. They said that they didn't like giving a high shock to people. They said they really wanted to stop, and a lot of people actually said, because it was recorded, can I stop? And they're like, no, you've got to give them the shock. Whereas he's saying that murderers and terrorists, I'm not talking petty crime, I'm talking like real serious crime. They actually revel in it. And then, this guy, Mark Manson says, people in Milgram, they also kind of like having they said they like having not to make a moral decision. And I was like, well, that's not the same as doing something evil because you think that you're doing the right thing. And it's just a bit as well, like using Milgram anyway is kind of outdated. Like it is though. There's a lot of like issues with it.
It's kind of relevant though.
It's not. I mean, for me, this is what I was saying. Like, it's relevant to what? It didn't support what he was saying because he completely, he had.
Do you remember what his
like,
point
fundamental. Was? Yeah, his point was that people who do evil things don't have low self-esteem. They actually think that they're right.
Yeah.
So like terrorists believe that what they're doing is for like the greater cause, and that they need to shock society into changing and becoming like their ideal. And he was saying that the Milgram, and I don't know, like I felt like, but this is the thing, so when he uses psychology and all these other examples, he kind of touches on it, and I kind of got the impression that he
you wanted him to go deeper.
No, I'm saying whether he did or didn't go deeper, he should have done, in my opinion. It would have been better to pick one thing, focus on that, go deeper, to support like what you were saying. Otherwise, it makes it look a bit pseudo-intellectual. Also, after this, I'll shut up, I swear. The guy, so on Audible, the audiobook, the guy narrating it
isn't it him? That's
no,
I always thought it was, but
I thought it was, and that made me, I think it kind of made me hate it a bit more, and then I realised it wasn't him. But it's like he's got such a condescending tone, and he starts doing...
I liked his narrating.
Yeah, well, really action.
And his impressions as well.
Yeah.
It's so, I find it so cringe. He does a Yoda impression. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He does Malala.
Yeah, but he ain't serious about it. He's taking the piss.
No, he is. When he's talking about Malala, I don't know how to pronounce her second name. It's like...
And with the accents and that, it's funny.
No, because
maybe it's purposely, for him to like you to do that look. Maybe it's purposely, for him to do that that practice of you not giving a fuck. You know what I mean?
So that's him not giving a fuck.
I'm not saying give a fuck, I'm just saying it's cringeworthy.
It's either him.
Like he's a white guy doing like a Middle Eastern accent.
Maybe it's him doing
so
that,
awkward.
the not giving a fuck thing, but it's also trying to like make the reader or listener practice their sort of like not giving a fuck sort of mentalities. Because if you give a fuck about all that sort of shit,
like
that's reading too much into it.
Yeah, I think it's just like when he did the Yoda impression, I was just like, oh my god, and it's bad.
You know, my favorite bit, one of my favorite bits was when his teacher called him of class. And he's like, what's his name again?
Mr. Sharp or something.
Mr. Sharp, yeah. And he goes, Mark, I'm looking for drugs. And he goes, drugs? So what kind of drugs?
When was this bit?
When the teacher, I think, I'm pretty sure this is near the beginning. First chapter.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I didn't remember it then. Because I Can't remember that.
I think
Yeah,
it's
like-
good in life to start focusing on dumb shit.
That was hilarious. And to find out that he was actually holding. He had like a little
Secret compartment
in his bag, yeah. Wow. Okay, what about you, baby?
I just want to do a run through the chapters. The first one, if it's right, I'm not even sure if it is right, but it's sort of like a run through of like the sort of the subjects and that. And he says like the secret to life is not having like the best, in brackets the best. Second, less really is more. Third is like comparisons, it's a waste of time, start comparing yourself to people. And the fourth is wanting better isn't making us better.
Right.
The fifth, accepting your personal experiences is so valuable. And the seventh, whatever, forget the numbers. Stop searching for happiness and realise it's already there. Negative experiences are valuable. Stop caring about fitting in. And the last one, we're all going to die someday.
I think the last one is where he talks about his friend, right?
Yeah. Who drowns.
Oh, I
Good.
still have 40 minutes to go on the thing, so I don't think I got to that bit.
Yeah,
Okay. Spoiler alert.
That's alright, I don't mind.
I feel like it leads to when he says that guy talks about his son dying, and then he said he could have like he could have related to him, and then they could have like both like fighted about like who's suffered the most, but he just said, "I'm sorry for your loss" to him, didn't he? But
Yeah,
I feel
read
like
that
in a
bit.
way he's sort of showing to that guy does read it, I doubt he will, but he's showing to the guy that he has sort of suffered that thing, maybe not as much with the son because it's his best friend, but in a way he still has, and in the end he almost like kills himself as well. He's standing on the top of like a cliff, and he talks about his own experiences about like just about to kill himself and stuff, and how it takes a turn, but it's like it's pretty good. So it's a good, nice ending still.
What do you think though if someone, say for example like a TK came to you and was like, oh, you know, like God forbid, touch wood, like a child of yours died in the future, and you were just like, mate, you're in control of your own destiny, like you can choose to move on from this, like what do you think you would think?
Well, I would think, what in the moment, or like let's say,
Generally.
I think in the moment I really wouldn't be listening, because I'll still be thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'll be grieving.
Yeah.
But maybe if I gave it some time, I may come to that point where I'm like, okay, it's happened, I can't really change it, and the best thing to do would be to not move on but accept it, and also just like integrate the experience into my life. Yeah, that's how I would.
So what kind of your response less than your reaction to it? Because reaction is more like emotional, filled, but the response is more like the logical field. The response is more like when you've sort of took back and stepped back and rationalised it and that.
Yeah, response is like about how choosing which emotions and controlling which ones you choose to feel. But I don't know, I feel like if that was me, or...
There's power in that.
If someone said that to you,
How much?
I'm not even sure when it cut off. Let's just carry on with what you were saying.
so stop from giving them a phone number of a therapist.
Yeah, I feel like giving them a number of a good therapist would be more helpful than... And I know he says that he didn't comment, he just said, I'm sorry for your loss, but he then goes on to write about it in his most famous book. So it's a bit like, what was her name? There's some other people that he discusses personally, like Edna? No, Edith?
He's an ex, isn't it?
No, it's not even his
It's not
ex.
even his ex.
He
It's
just slept
some
with her.
just like psycho stalker girl.
What's her name though? It's like,
Oh, the one that follows him and
it's like Ed.
talks to his
It
wife.
begins with an E, yeah. What's
She
her
goes
name?
to his wife, I'll be happy to share.
Yeah.
Really even a thing.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
that is actually interesting. I did like what you said about her. So basically, for the viewers that don't know, I don't know how to address
just
your
go.
viewership.
Minscreed Nation.
Minscreed Nation.
Yeah.
Basically, he met this woman at a convention, and a few years prior to their meeting, she'd had like a car accident. Is it a car accident? Or some accident where she basically died on the operating table. They managed to resuscitate her, and she came back after being a lawyer, like a really successful lawyer, thinking like, I'm repurposed, like
she could heal cats from the dead.
Yeah, she thought she could like heal cats, and she thought that her new purpose, she basically thought she was the second coming, and that her and Mark Manson, after meeting him, she was like, I think it was my destiny to meet you, and that we together need to, what was it, overcome death? Or like,
He must have dicked her down pretty well.
yeah, so rather than running away, he was like, shagged her, and then she became obsessed with me. And she would like constantly email him stuff like up to 12 times a day until he like changed all his accounts. She would find new accounts, email him again, until like a few years down to like 7 years. He had a fiance at the time, and she like was saying like, look, she made some website like slandering him, and she said the only way I'm going to take it down is if you agree to meet me. So he met up, him and his fiance met up with this woman called like, what's her name?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, anyway. I know, but I just want to say the wife, the
Just say the wife, it's
would
fine.
prefer names. Okay. Yeah, they met up, and she like gets drunk off like a bottle and a half of sake, and is like, yeah, I need to be with your fiance, but like I don't mind sharing him with you, but like it's his destiny that like we're together. And she's mental. But what he did say about her, which what I thought was like one merit at least. Well, no, there were many merits, but like one thing I really liked about it is he said she was basically a self-help addict, and she went to all these conventions, read all these books, and she didn't just ignore the information she was given, she actually adapted to it. She became like the ideal self-assistant, like, you know, she did everything she was supposed to, and she's a fucking mess. Like, you know, it didn't help her, like, because she has such strong beliefs in that what she's doing is correct and it's right, because she's using self-help. And he said something, I don't know if he said it during that point in the book, but he said something later that's like, so obviously she's doing something and assuming everyone else is wrong. He said, no matter your belief system, what's more likely if you don't believe what other people are doing, that you're the only one that has the right answer and everyone else is wrong, or that everyone else kind of has the right idea and you're wrong. And it's much more likely that if you're radical in some way, you're wrong. But then he goes on to write a self-help book about how everyone's
giving too much of a fuck about things that don't really need to be given fucks. Yeah.
What do you think anyway about the general message?
I like the general message. That's why I said like it's got like a stoicism Buddhist type of ring to it, because it does like, it's like there's like you only have a certain amount of facts to give. You can't really care about everything.
No.
Like you should really care about the things that matter to you, and then it says like things that align with your values and not everyone else's values but your own values. So I really like that about it.
What kind of things do you think you should, or you personally at least, should give a fuck about, and what shouldn't you give a fuck about?
Again, it's like your own personal values. Like you may value friendship, like friendship, there you go, you can value friendship. You can value your own time, so maybe you shouldn't really care what other people think about how much time you spend by yourself. You can like, my value is that I love solitude by myself, just have my own time. So that's what you should care about, and not what other people think about you doing that. Or say like posting stuff on social media, you shouldn't really care about what other people care about it or think about it. Because you know, opinions are like assholes, as they say.
Everyone has one. Some
So,
are
like,
hairier than others.
It doesn't mean you have to go out showing everyone your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
like,
no.
we don't want to see it.
But it doesn't mean
But going back to
you
that
don't
sort
have
of
to
like
censor.
child that died and stuff like that, it's probably early to say that sort of stuff to her still. But like I like this quote from Warren Buffett. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
It goes like, you will continue to suffer if you have an emotional reaction to everything that is said to you. True power is sitting back and observing things with logic. True power is restraint. If words control you, that means everyone else can control you. Breathe and allow things to pass.
Agree, 100%.
I like that.
True.
And that applies for like everything, like whether you're online or day-to-day interactions at work, uni, school, friends, relationships. I think I know it sounds really stupid and like dumbed down to say,
It's okay.
but you can only be affected by something if you let it affect you. Or like if you engage with it. Like trolls.
Like trolls.
Trolls,
yeah, like
Oh
trolls.
yeah,
like
what was the
trolls.
female word for a troll again?
Forgot, like Joe came down or something like that. Yeah. Some
They're ugly.
female, ugly.
Did you look at the picture and you were like, oh yeah, that's right.
It was ginger, so.
Yeah, it's me.
But yeah, I like that, and I wrote something down. He goes, well, yeah, he says many people may be to blame for your unhappiness, but nobody is ever responsible for you being unhappy, except for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So it's basically the same thing that you just said. Like you can choose to react to it, or you can choose to react to it in a different way. There's another book we should review called Extreme Ownership, because it talks about taking responsibility for your actions a lot. And
Can your thoughts count as actions?
no, they're just your thoughts.
Why do you think they
Unless-
can?
In a way, because they lead to actions.
Yeah,
They're
me
They're
too.
the seeds of actions.
The seeds. I guess, but they're not actions, so are they?
When I used to always say evil thinkers are evil doers, and I was like, I don't know if that's really that true now.
Evil thinkers, evil doers.
Yeah.
No, because I think pretty evil
Not
stuff
always.
sometimes,
Yeah, you
but
can be
you
passive.
can't really think.
Yeah, I don't remember they do it, innit?
Yeah.
I was like, that's some bullshit.
I mean, everyone has like intrusive thoughts of like murder and
What?
weird, depraved
I
stuff.
don't know, I never have.
When did you think about murder?
Yeah, what the fuck? No, people
Hopefully
start
not
trying-
now.
I mean, you're the one that
I'm
buys
joking.
women
Of course I
back.
do it every single second.
Yeah, like everyone. No, I mean, at least, like, it's an intrusion though, it's not like your intention. Like an intrusive thought. Yeah, you know, once at university, so it was like I think it was like second year of uni, you know Lizzie, one of our lecturers.
Yeah.
But you did something really funny. But anyway,
I was just remembering. Yeah, go
at
on.
the presentation day. Anyway, like she was giving a lecture to like 250 people in a lecture hall, and she was talking about intrusive thoughts, and she goes, "Who here has intrusive thoughts?" And I was like, the only one that put my hand up, and I was like, put my hand down, and she was like, "Huh?"
They're all fake.
No, I know, but I was like,
Yeah.
I think about murder and like depravity all the time, and she was like, she put her hand up too, and she was like, I do, everyone does. You should all put your hand up, and I was like.
Yes. I'm normal.
And then one time we had a presentation that we've been marked for as well, like 40% of a course, and like it was like 40% of that module, and you have to like stay and listen to everyone's presentation, and like TK just gets up, you do yours first or something, you just get up and you're like, Liz, I gotta go, and he just walks out and never comes back.
I said I needed to use the toilet actually.
Whatever, you didn't come back. And she was like, does anyone have his number? And I was just there like, I'm not ringing it.
I'm so, oh my days, I would have hung up. I would have been like, I'm not coming back. I
Yeah, you
would've
wouldn't
hung
have even picked up.
up. Yeah.
We just,
No, I was going. Anyways,
you were going to meet a girl.
Well,
Oh, you were going on a date
well,
with an Asian girl, I remember.
well.
Sorry, she has
No
a
one's gonna
name,
know
I
except
don't
for
know
God,
it though.
me, and that girl. That's a positive girl. But anyways, yeah. Back to the book.
Sorry.
That was an interesting story. She was my supervisor as well. Big up, Liz.
Yay, Liz.
He also talks about how like the media and technology is kind of affecting how we feel as well. So like, you know,
Which bit?
I took like, I don't remember where, but I took some notes down. Anyways, it says like, you know, technology has given us the freedom to express our opinions, but it's also increased our exposure to other people's negative opinions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So other people's negative opinions therefore affect our emotions as well. Yeah?
Can we talk about it, or are you...
Talk about it.
Okay, I was thinking this to myself, so I listen to, as I said at the beginning, because I'm a massive arsehole, I listen to lots of stuff on philosophy, the deep shit, not the shit you get on YouTube, like, you know, the stuff that
Please,
only
don't,
really
don't
clever
insult our
kids listen
YouTube
to.
brothers.
Oh shit, no! That's not what I meant. I meant like the wishy-washy. I didn't mean...
Okay.
You guys, obviously,
No, I know.
philosophers
about
in the
other
making.
YouTubers.
Sorry, yeah, so was I.
I'm just an artist.
Just do one artist.
You're a
guys.
philosopher, but this is what I'm saying about social media. So half of me despises social media, and I can get, not because I hate people sharing stuff, but because it almost gives people this like so you know, like, people have a go at millennials for saying, oh, they think they're so special and self-important.
That's what we are, isn't it?
Yeah, we're
Millennials,
millennials,
yeah. I don't care if people do, that's like good for you, but what I don't like is everyone, like we were saying, everyone has an opinion, but some people seem to think that their opinion's more important than others, and they seem to voice it with, yeah, and this used to really tick me off, and I never engaged in any social media, because I was like, you know, social media is either to create a brand for yourself, showcase what you're doing, or to just shout really loudly about your opinions and get into like internet
The
wars.
smallest dog barks the loudest.
Yes.
I think social media should be used
Aristotle.
for money, you know, I
Aristotle
don't know. I think like it should be used for business only. If you're on
Well,
it to like...
no,
only-
because
Yeah.
this is,
No.
I used to think this, I used to
It's
be
a platform to
so,
express yourself.
No,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm going to be on there, I'm going to be on there to make money.
well, you can do
Well,
that too.
That's your prerogative, isn't it?
I used to think the same, well not,
Wow.
I didn't used to think it should be abolished.
Well,
What?
Wow, that's got shocked. Fucking hell, go on.
What?
Not you.
just keep going, just keep going.
No, it is me, what did I do?
It really wasn't you. Come on, what you
Okay,
saying?
sorry, I used to
Yeah.
think the same about social media, and I used to be like, Jesus Christ, all these celebrities that think, you know, but then I was like, actually no, like, this is really good, because I genuinely think, guys, right, we're living in like a new age, we're living in like a philosophical age, like there's always philosophy, but I think people now, because of the influence of social media, you're like pushed to, like, no one hides their opinion anymore. If you're like Britain First, there's a place for you on social media. If you're like an Instagram model, there's a place for you. If you're like a leftist, there's a place for you. And like everyone's naked now in terms of opinions, and I'm like, this is fucking great. Like you can.
There's no. I think it's.
But it forces you to think about stuff.
Yeah, it's cause like there's like there's a barrier between it. Like there's a keyboard, you, and there's the internet. So there's no like. It's much easier for me to call you an asshole on the internet than it is to do it face to face.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
But I'm kind of like, I mean, I'm not saying like people like abuse me, but I'm kind of okay with it, because I'm like, if it forces people to actually, I don't care if your opinion, like, who said I detest your opinion, but I will fight to
Free
my death
speech,
for
exactly.
the right for you to express it.
It's probably Milton Friedman.
Who?
Milton Friedman.
I think it was, you know. You're well done. Clever.
Thank you.
Good memory.
Let me pat myself for that.
Pat yourself on the back. But I really, you know, and like with this guy, it's the fact that I might not like the way that he expressed what he did in his book, and I might not like the overall message, but I love the fact that we live in an age that he can do it, and you know, genuinely, it's great.
Like talking about social media as well, like I think it is making us more insecure as well, because like, you know, one of the things that you listed out was like we compare ourselves to other people as well.
Yeah, living their best lives. Really.
Like, come on.
We're living our best
You're not
lives
gonna,
right
you're not
now.
gonna post something sad on social media, like, oh, I lost my job, or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I got this new job, new life, new job.
I love the panda
Yeah,
though.
okay.
Bullshit panda or something like that.
Disappointment panda.
Yeah, disappointment panda, that's a superhero, isn't it? That was a good guy.
What's disappointment panda?
Have you read the book?
I think it's in the beginning. It's chapter 1.
It's a superhero. He
Yeah, he
made
made up a superhero.
And it'd
No.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
just
Sorry.
appear. He'd fly down to people's doors, like knock on the door and like
Oh.
tell them
Yeah.
like side truths that they need to hear. But
No,
not
I did.
necessarily,
He,
like,
he mentions it like throughout the book. I did.
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
So just picture like disappointment panda showing up on Christmas and being like Santa doesn't exist, you little shit. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. What were you going with that?
I was just saying I like disappointment panda.
Are
Like,
you?
the way I pictured him was like, you know, the panda in Kung Fu Hustle, but like smaller.
Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like smaller, with like a red cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
But yeah, so social media makes us compare ourselves to other people. But what I like, I think Jordan Peterson said this as well. Like you shouldn't compare yourself to others, but compare yourself to someone you were yesterday.
What a fucking
Okay.
visionary. Who knew?
You know what?
What
the
an
thing is,
original thought. Go on, Mr. Peterson.
I think your problem is you think people are trying to be original.
No, I don't. No, I don't know.
Cause like even this Mark Manson guy, he's just saying things that we already know, but putting it in a way that we can sort of just read it like, oh yeah, I understand this type thing.
We know these things, but
Yeah.
sometimes we need to remind them because we forget them.
You know what I
I
hate?
don't know. I don't.
I hate. Never mind. Go on. I just lost my
Please.
thought
Okay.
because I need to toilet.
Yeah, I do too. Oh, are we gone?
No, we'll take shifts. Go.
Okay.
Out of this.
No, sorry, because I need to go as well, and I also want to pour myself some KA. So can we like just pause it for a second? Do you have a cup? No, that's can't say that word. Listen, counterfeit. Now I'm counting this. Kool-Aid, order something, analyst.
Something. The humble. Yeah. Right, alright, so right before we cut off, I was gonna say I hate original thinkers because people try to be original, but really, again, nothing is original under the sun. That's not a platitude or whatever you wanna call it. But yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with taking something that's already been made and then adding a little something. Something. Yeah. Little one of those. But you were saying something else before that to connect to that.
Well, in response to what Billy said, it's not that I hate originality. Sorry, it's not that I hate people trying to be original, or I hate it when people aren't original. I just meant that if you're gonna touch on, like, if you're gonna touch on something, I would rather it was like thoroughly researched and you got into it rather than just depth over breadth, you know? Like, to go deeper in.
Sorry, I was just. But I also think we should give this guy some leeway because.
Oh yeah.
So this is like his first book or something. I haven't really done any
Suppose
research
so.
on
I
it.
think so. I don't. I suppose.
But for a first book, it's pretty good. And it's.
Book. I think he says he was a writer.
Mm.
Like he was talking about when he graduated. Well, I don't know if he's written like books. He was definitely a writer. Like he wrote a book, yeah.
Blogs or something. Also good. It also talks about the fear we have of failure. Like most people are afraid to try something new because they're gonna look like a fool. But there's a quote by Carl Jung that says the fool is the precursor to the savior. So you have to be willing to look like a fool to learn something.
Yeah.
And that's actually a success barrier as well, because if you don't try and take risks, and I think this is the part of the book that's more self-helpy, because it's like you should make fear get in the way of you doing something.
I agree.
Yeah.
What did they say? Like, did he say anything on how to do that? Like, did he give any examples?
Indications of how to.
Yeah.
I don't remember, you know. I think he.
Also, sorry.
Yeah, I think he just what I wrote down, what I remember is him just saying that if we admit to ourselves that we don't know something, that gives us a chance and an opportunity to learn more about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure he gave any. He probably did. He probably gave some examples. I just can't remember it right
That's
now.
kind of similar to what he was saying about looking for a negative experience as a positive thing, because it's about recognizing when there's like something lacking in your life and saying, okay, well maybe I didn't do it like this bad, and it might be like negative to admit that to myself and go into that and learn from it, but I'm willing to do it. Also, not that this is really a criticism, but it's something I would have liked. I mean, I can't criticize something he didn't write about, but it's something I would have liked him to touch on, is when he's talking about failure and success, that's not like the main like theme of this book, but I feel like it's kind of a self-help book, so it's like pretty much the predominant thing. But he talks about as if the only barrier to it is like worrying about making a fool of yourself, being a failure, not getting to where you wanted to, having regrets. I would have liked if he'd have written about what you can do when you don't necessarily worry about those things, but you have other things like lack of motivation, not enough time, not enough like confidence.
Right. I think he does say that motivation isn't really something you should rely on. Like, you shouldn't need motivation to do something. Doesn't it? Or maybe I'm thinking about like, because motivation it comes and goes, and if you're there waiting for motivation to do something, then you're not gonna do it. So like the best way to do it is just to just do it.
Yeah, I agree. But then
Like
you need to have.
Sorry, go on.
But then you need to have some sort of motivation, because
some sort of goal.
Some sort of
like
kick up the
like
arse.
yeah. Okay.
Because you can, when people, I'm not necessarily talking like clinically here, but just being depressed in general about like having a shitty day or whatever, how do you, I guess that would be not giving a fuck, but how do you get to a point from thinking like, I could kind of do this stuff, but I just can't motivate myself to, or like, I could be that person, but I've got like work commitments. Like a lot of the stuff he talks about is like things that it's like conceptual stuff, like stuff that you shouldn't give a fuck about in terms of how people think about you, view you, perceive you. Like it's all mental, but he doesn't talk about actual like physical blocks, like having children, having to go to your 9 to 5, like what. And I'm not saying that those things aren't able to be overcome. I'm saying they are, but I'm saying he didn't talk about that, and that would have been interesting. But
I do remember him saying that his like teacher at one time said him to like just do it, just do something, and then the answers will follow.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I mean. That's from like if you're just do something.
So it wasn't mentioning like specifics. It wasn't like, okay, so if you want to go to university, you should maybe ask yourself why you want to go to university, and then like invest some money into an account for university type thing.
Kind of
practical steps.
Yeah, what I mean is though, he's talking about like mental blocks we have, and he's saying don't give a fuck about your mental blocks. So don't give a fuck about what people might think of something you post online. Don't give a fuck about how they view a podcast that you create. But I'm saying, like, say if in the States, for example, you really want to go to a private university and you can't fund it, like, how does one, these are physical barriers, these aren't just mental ones. It's not like, oh, I can't.
I suppose it starts with the mental ones.
I guess, yeah, but then he didn't talk about, for example, if you wanted to be able to motivate yourself, to be able to address those, like, physical barriers.
Give, like, pointers what to do it.
Yes, kind of.
Well, I think like, if he did, then it would be a truly self-help book, but it's not a self-help book. He said in the beginning.
It's not It's not a self-help book, as in he's not telling us that we have to do this stuff to get better, but it is self-help from the perspective that he's talking about how one can help themselves by not giving a fuck. So,
So I mean, you could still say like, so for example, that example I used for like university. Maybe you care too much about what other people think but you go to university.
Yeah, but
So
what
you
if
can
you
be
don't
like,
have
don't
like,
really care
okay, but
about
what
it.
if you live somewhere where you can't get a student loan from the government for university, so you have to pay for tuition fees?
I don't get what the point is.
I think, you know what, I think he's coming from a point where it's like,
It's-
okay, you
I'm not
are
sure
not
I do
motivated, and you are caring too much about something. So
Yeah.
I think he's assuming,
That's what I'm
he's
saying.
assuming
Yeah.
there are no actual physical blocks.
That
Yeah.
was my point. Yeah, I'm saying that he only looks at it from like the fact that the only thing that could ever stop you is a mental thing, whereas in realistically.
Well, that's the way he's approaching it. I wouldn't assume that that's what he thinks.
No,
But-
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
I'm saying he didn't write about it, so I can't criticise him for it. But I'm saying
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen
Okay.
how he personally.
Cool.
What is called?
What did you like about the book?
I need a drink.
Like an alcoholic one.
Some cut.
Ah.
Yeah, you can have some fruit punch.
I liked that it sort of just helped you not really care too much about things, to care about more important things, to have good problems rather than just problems, and yeah, to just not give a fuck what people think. But he does mention not to the psychopathic extent of it,
Mm-hmm.
but to just like, it just makes you more happier, not giving a fuck what anyone thinks here, or trying to fit in and that kind of stuff. You free yourself more and you just live a happier life once you stop caring what people think. Because it's just a waste of time, it's a waste of thought thinking all that kind of dumb shit. And that there are like more better things to like ponder on and work towards.
Do you think you care about what people think?
No.
Do you?
No, I used to care what people think. I mean, let me see. Do I care what people think? It depends. Like, I don't really care. No, I don't really care. I don't.
When you're younger you do, definitely.
That's what I mean. Like,
What's
I
younger
used
though?
to care what people think. Like, I don't know.
Were you? You're not. You're old. 25. You need to get married.
That's right. 25. I don't need to get married. But yeah, I think when I was younger, I cared. I cared what my friends thought about almost everything I did. I cared about what my parents thought of me, what my
Because you
teachers
need to
thought of
get
me.
married.
I don't really care about
I
what
agree with
she
that
thinks.
though.
I don't need to get married. Yeah.
Is there any potential
So there's.
bachelorettes are watching
Oh, you know
the
what?
MTK?
I have my own marriage. It's not going to involve the government or the church.
Married to
Hmm?
married to what?
Oh, my own marriage. Oh, I'm married
Just not
to.
married.
I'm married to myself.
Oh, okay. My parents.
I'm married to the purpose.
The purpose.
That's over pussy.
No.
I remembered. No, but my parents were never married and they had, like, there was nothing different about my childhood.
Compared to others who were married.
Like, literally it was exactly the same. Just because my dad doesn't believe in marriage.
Last thoughts on the book?
I think it's a great book if you care too much about things and you want to know how to not care too much about it and have like examples of other people who didn't care too much about what other people thought of them and just did what they had to do. It's a great book. You should read it. It's on audiobook. It's on Amazon. Check it out. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because it's not like every other self-help book. So I think people would really enjoy this. Yeah.
There's one more thing. How would you both go about not caring about what people think?
I would think to myself, there's this I don't know who said it, but there's another quote, something about like, if it doesn't matter tomorrow, why spend time worrying about it? Also, again, if I can't really change, I can't really change what people think, so I wouldn't really care much about it. I'll just focus on what I can control, like the Stoics said.
I used to really care. Like, so I guess I actually have done stuff to not, I still care a bit, but I've done stuff to not care as much. And I think like I started liking myself, because before, and this is actually something that he says as well, so before I would just assume, you know, people didn't like me, or I felt, I didn't even have confirmation, but if I felt like a group of people didn't like me, I would just assume that like they were totally right and valued for feeling that way, because I was just terrible, because I used to have like, I don't know, self-esteem problems. And I started liking myself a bit more and started thinking like, you know, I'm actually not so terrible. And then I became more comfortable in myself, and now I'm just, I don't know, I think I still do care a bit, I don't know. What?
How about you, do you care?
What would I do?
So some questions here, yeah.
I think part of it is comparison. So quit comparing yourself to others. But how would you go about doing that?
Do you compare yourself to others?
I don't see the reason.
I think I only do that in terms of like some of the people I used to go to that did the same course as me and who also want to become clinical psychologists, like because they're further up in terms of like, oh yeah, they're like assistant psychologists and stuff. That's when I fall into the comparing stuff. It's like, oh, this, you know.
I'd say keep practicing what you wouldn't want to do. So you say like if you've got like this one icon or one like a role model that you really look up to, who's in like sort of typing distance, yeah. Do something that pushes you out of your comfort zone. That was gonna make people think a certain way about you. Do it and send it also to that person. Like see if you're gonna upload something and you think, oh, what people think of me, or what would this person think of me if I uploaded that? Send it directly to them.
Yeah, but that's giving a fuck. Like that's
no,
saying.
But that's when they do give a fuck. But to do that, then it was sort of like lower the giving fucks of it. Because when you do pass that barrier and everything, that's when you'll start to give a fuck less. You know what I mean?
Or are you saying like, oh, you're trying, because you're going overboard to try to make it look like you don't give a fuck is giving a fuck?
I'm saying that if you take time out of your day to directly message someone that you're worried might interpret you a certain way, that is beyond giving a fuck.
Yeah, this is when you do give a fuck.
Oh, right,
so
sorry.
if you want to get past giving a fuck, then do that.
Why?
Because it's all part of it.
No, because that's like saying,
oh,
do
so
it.
it's like,
did you have an answer?
Pardon?
Did you have an answer?
To what?
To what the question was?
Ma'am, Dad, stop fighting.
This ain't fighting.
Okay, no, I
Did
get
you have an answer though? My case is rested.
I just thought it was a discussion.
Oh, she said something. I don't know if it was an answer
No.
to the question.
I'm trying to give an answer to these people. And this is like a certain thing that's worked for me in the past. So just keep focusing on yourself as well. And pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And then just don't give a fuck what people think.
So,
just do you.
So you're saying like, like say you're afraid of doing something, you just do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of it.
I kind of get it.
Put yourself
But
in like a
it's
vulnerable
cause like,
position.
I think it's the way you worded it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show this person that I don't care about talking to them by talking to them.
No, not like that. It's hard to explain.
It's like when he's talking about people with OCD, he's saying that they're so worried about the worst case scenario that the best way to get past it is to imagine the worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's another stoicism principle, isn't it? Like imagining the worst.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think it's different to what Billy's saying, because it's like, so with this it's like, okay, I think I get what you're saying. You're saying that you're worried someone's going to have an opinion of you.
Yeah, if you do. If you think highly of them.
Yeah, so like rather than worrying about it, just be like, fuck it, let them have the worst opinion of me and then get over it.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah, sorry, I get it. I just didn't understand before.
So that's been a review, a very brief review of the Sato Art of Not Giving a Fuck. What's the next one that I did? Actually, we haven't decided on the next one, but we'll let you know. Tell us what you guys think in the comments below. And, you know, subscribe. Thank you, Rowan, for coming on again. We love having you on. It's always a pleasure. Did you have fun?